So I finished watching The Sleeping Beauty. For some reason, I haven't watched it in a very long time. And it's very strange, this one, because I would always say The Little Mermaid is my favorite and The Sleeping Beauty is my second favorite. I guess the real reason why that was is just because she's got blonde hair, and out of all the princesses, she looks most like me. And I don't like being the idea of being Cinderella because she does lots of cleaning, and I hate cleaning. So I think Frozen, I do like Frozen, but I absolutely hate being Frozen. So I feel like it's the title that makes me not like it as much, just because I hate cold weather, I hate ice, and therefore I feel like that's not my favorite. And then out of all the Disney princesses, well, Little Mermaid is the best because she's more independent, I think. But yeah, Sleeping Beauty will be the second one. But it's really crazy because I've just watched it now, and it's insane. Like the storyline is completely. It's probably, I think, if there's an award for the most messed up Disney film, it's got to be Sleeping Beauty, because it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense how the parents are supposed to be so loving, and yet for the first 16 years of their daughter's life, they have no clue where she is, and they don't make any attempt to try and find her. They're just like, oh, she's going to die when she's 16. So yeah, we need to make her live with strangers in a cottage in the middle of the woods, where we don't try and see her or attempt to see her. And we do that for 16 years just because she's going to die or fall asleep when she's 16. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. So clearly the parents don't give a shit about her, and they've portrayed the parents as being loving, kind people. And then you've got the prince who's trying to kiss her, but only, or wants to be with her and like her, but only because of her beauty and the fact that she can sing. And it's like, yeah, you've known that girl for about 3 minutes, and yet you fancy her for those reasons. I mean, it gives a completely wrong signal about, about how women should only be liked for their looks or their singing ability. But yeah, and then Maleficent is seen as the big evil character, and yet it just doesn't make any sense why she would hate this child. I mean, it's not like she was jealous or something. With Snow White, it kind of made sense because the evil queen was jealous of Snow White, because Snow White was supposed to be really pretty. I didn't think she was pretty, but yeah, but you can understand it. But with this one, it's just like she's hated this child since birth for something that had nothing to do with the child. So yeah, and the three fairies are supposed to be the good characters, and yet they steal the child who should be growing up in a palace, and they bring her in a cottage and lie to her every day of her life. So yeah, I think out of all the Disney stories, this one has to win the award for the most messed up. But yeah, I feel like I know why it's messed up though, because I feel like it's actually inverted, and the three fairies can be good, but and Maleficent as well, I think, should actually be seen as a good character. But the village and all the people in the village should actually be seen as the bad characters. So they should be seen as, a horrible town full of, I don't know, maybe just in the 14th century, there was all sorts of problems, and I'm sure the king was corrupt back then, and the king only wanted males, they only wanted a male ruler, so maybe he could be like really excited about the birth of his new child and then be disappointed at the fact that he's a son. The mother maybe wants the child, but at the same time, it's just following whatever the king wants, and just kind of being pushed aside maybe, and then you can show all like this, being the village being the good thing, the good ones, and sort of saying, how Maleficent is bad, how the three fairies are bad. But then, as this film goes on, you could actually see that that this village is becoming nastier and nastier, but you only see it slowly. And then you could have maybe at the age when the child is born, the three fairies, they could be working together as a pair. They can see the child, know that the child is going to be born, and then think, all right, we're going to steal the child. Maybe not in the first few weeks, but in the first, after 6 months, we'll steal the child, but we'll put a birthmark on this child so that we'll take the child away, bring the child back at the age of 16. And because of maybe a star or something, maybe there's a birthmark in the shape of a star or something. So whatever birthmark this child will have, when this child goes away and comes back, they'll be recognized by their people. So the three fairies could have this plan to take the next leader, take the child away, raise up this child properly. Maybe they can find out that it's a girl or not a boy, and think, oh, should we not do it? And then they'll just be like, well, we're not waiting for, we don't want to wait for the next child, or maybe just thinking we'll just take the first one, and then they take the first one, and then they bring the child back 16 years later, and to the town can love this girl, the town can be like, oh, yay, she's back. And the king and queen could be, maybe they weren't able to have another kid. The fairies could have actually cursed the family so that they didn't have any more children, so that this child would be the only child. And but maybe they're happy that it was a female. Maybe that's the plan. They think it's going to be a boy. It turns out it's a girl, and then they think, okay, well, we'll curse the family so that they can't have boys or can't have any more children. And so, at the beginning of the film, the three fairies who steal the child might look like the evil ones because they've taken the child out of luxury and put the child into a bad state. But yeah, as the time passes, the child can grow up thinking, being told bad things about the society, but also being told, that think how a better way to be. And then when the child gets to 16, she can get into the town, be loved, and everyone loves this person. But for the king to also be like, well, he's not a male, and you can maybe even have another king coming and saying, yeah, I'm not bowing down to this. This is a woman. I don't bow down to a woman. And then Maleficent having to step in. So Maleficent being a separate party to the three, but seeing the problems that the three fairies didn't see, which is that they're not going to accept this queen as a queen, because they want a king. And so she maybe could see that there's going to be like just a fight over the kingship, and that they're not going to accept the queen. So her plan could actually be to steal the 16-year-old, or maybe she's 20 by this age, still the 21-year-old or something, but maybe put like a mannequin in her place to make it look like that's her body, when really it's not her body. Her body's like been taken, and she's just created like a false body, that's like an identical copy of the real body. But so yeah, she can go and steal. So instead of the prince being in the prison, it will actually be the princess in the prison, that she's created. And then there'll be like a false corpse. And then yeah, the town obviously is because they're evil. You could tell that it's going to end up with rioting and probably even abuse of this body that they think is. But the thing is, the body could be cursed, and anyone that kind of touches the body in an inappropriate way would actually find themselves being cursed. But the curse won't actually affect straight away; it will affect afterwards. Maybe that's how it should be. I don't know. I'm just coming up with an idea of a different version. I mean, you have to have someone asleep, because that's why it's called Sleeping Beauty. But yeah, I mean, how you got it doesn't work, because it's just like, yeah, her prince wanting to be with a girl who's asleep, a girl that he barely knows. That doesn't really make any sense. I suppose you could have it as the prince meeting the girl beforehand. I mean, maybe that could be part of the plot. You have someone who does meet the girl and has a bit of a better relationship, whilst she's with the fairies, and then maybe he comes to wake her up and realizes this isn't actually her, and then he has to go off and get the princess, who's actually kind of locked in with the Maleficent. But it turns out that she's not actually in like a horrible situation. She's in a nice situation. That would be an interesting twist. So he realizes that this corpse is fake, and then goes off to find the real person, and then brings her back. And I haven't really thought of the ending, but it's an interesting idea to play with if anyone wants to have a film to do.